So what made you want to switch from film to coding? I feel like it's such a drastic change.
So for me, I wasn't really sold on going into the film industry. I wasn't sure if it was really what I wanted to do. Um, so I also, with my dad being in the film industry, I kind of already had that connection to be able to, land like a PA job should it come to that. So I kind of thought it might be a good idea to try to use my skills in another field. So
That's
I
cool.
kind of had like a sort of backup plan to see like what I really wanted to do. And then, if I really liked it, then great. And then I always sort of have like the film industry as like a fallback plan. Uh,
It's just interesting to me because when I started, I was in coding and then I switched to marketing. So
okay.
there's a bit of difference.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it was very, I've always loved math and I've always loved technology. I always played like video games and stuff. And I think that a lot of people that do go into computer science usually were playing a lot of video games when they were younger because
Yeah,
they
you're
want to,
not wrong.
program video games and stuff like that. So,
No,
yeah.
that's pretty cool. Anyways, welcome back to episode 2 of That's Normal. I'm your host, Ian, same as before. It's a miracle we made it to episode 2, but we're here. Today I'm joined by my guest, Brecken. Do you want to introduce yourself a bit and what you do at this company?
Hello, everyone. I'm Brecken. I'm a software engineer here at Guided Choice. And yeah.
Cool. So, on today's episode, I just want to say a friendly reminder. I am not a financial expert. I'm here to learn along with you guys and kind of grow. And hopefully, we both end this episode kind of learning something. So, today we're going to be kind of talking about more the journey from, I'd say, finishing college to adulthood. Me and Brecken are kind of on the younger side when it comes to this company. So, we have very fresh experiences. One thing that always actually stood out to me because before I joined, you were the person who joined, and you came up to me and said, I know what it's like being new here, and I know how hard it could be. So if you ever need anything, reach out to me. And I always respected that because no one ever had done that for me before. So my question would be, what was your journey? Let's start from when you just finished college. How did you eventually end up moving here, and what was kind of your process of that?
Yeah. So I'd actually started a little bit before I'd graduated college.
Oh, really?
I was trying to eagerly find a job, mostly because my friends that I was rooming with, they were still, they had one more year left
Hmm.
until they graduated. And they were re-signing their lease for the house that we were at. And I actually really wanted to see if I could stay with them and re-sign with them. So I was really trying to find a job as soon as possible because we had to sign the lease pretty soon towards the like before I even graduated.
Hmm.
So we kind of had to have that lined up. So I wanted to see if I can secure a job in the San Diego area. So I was applying for just a lot of jobs. I was as many as I could, remote jobs, San Diego jobs, and then I eventually started not really getting any bites. Couldn't really find a job out there. So kind of started expanding my search, and then I found this company. So I interviewed with them. It went pretty well, and they offered me the job, and I decided to take it. Also, wouldn't say that I wasn't uh, open to moving like out of California or anything because I've lived in California my entire life. I was actually open to like trying a new spot like this area. So it was really helpful or really awesome to get the opportunity to come here. So I had accepted the job actually before I graduated, so I'd already had that lined up.
That's really nice because I wish I had that back in the day. Because I was, even when I graduated, there was this overwhelming, just, it felt like stress because I'm like, well, I graduated, but that doesn't really mean anything unless I find a job with my degree.
Yeah.
And I know the move must have been stressful. Just for context, I'm originally from New York and we're filming this on the West Coast. And so that move was stressful. I don't know how it was for you in terms of it, but at least for me, planning the finances of it, that was very brutal because to bring a car across the country alone, either I'm paying for a hotel or paying for it to be shipped, that costs thousands. And when I left originally to move here to my new job, I didn't have that much money. I mean, all the way going back to college, I wasn't it was very much any money I could, I would save it, but it's hard when you're not really making that much income.
Yeah, totally. And I remember I came out here before I had moved here because wanted to look at apartments, and I came out here with my dad, and we were kind of looking, and I was looking at all these like prices and stuff, and I was sort of leaning towards like the cheaper options.
Yeah.
But my dad actually encouraged me. He's like, oh, what could possibly happen if you spend a couple hundred extra bucks to get sort of a nicer spot. I was telling him, I was kind of worried about money, graduating college, but I am fortunate enough to have some great parents that were able to help me out financially. So I was
That's
able
really
to
cool.
graduate without any student debt, which I think gave me like a huge advantage that I am super grateful that I had. So it made it a little bit less stressful knowing that, I didn't really have a debt to pay off. And yeah, they were able to help me out. So that definitely was probably the biggest thing that helped me out in the move.
I mean, we talked about this last episode, but student debt is such a crazy thing these days that they don't really, when you're in college, tell you, or even before college, they don't tell you what you're really getting into when it comes to this debt. You're kind of just, at least when I went to school, I was told very much, oh, you have to get this degree, go to the best college. And I feel like I've noticed from talking to you and Sergey from last week, if you could get no student debt, I mean, it's so hard, but it's such a better payoff. And even payoff strategies for student debt, staying with it and kind of getting in that right mindset. It definitely helps having good family connections. Luckily, I had a very supportive family when moving out here. Most of my family is still on actually, back in New York, but they're very supportive with helping me as much as they could moving out here. But it was interesting because trying to find a place to live, but while also stewing back out west was a very difficult transition. I don't How was kind of that apartment transition for you trying to find a place here? Was it difficult at all?
I would say it wasn't too difficult because basically me and my dad planned a trip. I went online and scheduled some appointments with I think 3 or 4 apartments that I could see myself living in. And then we went out there, we checked them out. And then towards the end of the day, my dad actually was like, hey, let's check out this one. He found one like that day. And that ended up being the one that I ended up like signing a lease with because it was just awesome. It was like it was a little on the pricier side, which is why I didn't find it initially,
Yeah.
because I was a little bit worried about that. But you know, compared to like California prices, it definitely helped seem a lot less daunting
Yeah.
because it's definitely a lot cheaper out here in Nevada, just
I was
housing
gonna say, I
wise.
feel like we share that similarity when it
Yeah.
comes to California, New York,
Yep.
where it is
Definitely.
expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on about that, but that's one of the reasons why I moved out. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Me too.
it's crazy. And trying to find the right place that fits your kind of cost, it's hard because it's just everything's changing all the time, especially with inflation lately. You have to really be prepared and really kind of look out what's ahead. So, kind of transitioning a bit, how is your move kind of from college life to kind of work life? Kind of that more daily wake up, go to work, kind of balancing stuff outside of work. Did you transition well with that?
So yeah, I mean, starting out, I think everyone right when they graduate, they're always going to have sort of those, first job jitters when they're first starting out their career. I definitely had that. I was
Oh,
definitely,
I was so nervous.
yeah,
Like
I was
I
definitely pretty
came in the
nervous.
first day, I was like, everyone's gonna hate me. Everyone's gonna
Yeah,
and like no reason.
yeah, it's definitely hard. I mean, moving to a brand new state, left all my friends behind, so that's that there's that kind of worry too of like, oh, am I going to be accepted out here, or am I going to make some friends? So there were definitely a lot of nerves. I've never lived on my own before, which is what I've been doing for the last year since I moved here, and so that was also super scary because I'd always had some help from roommates or parents around, so it was definitely scary, but I feel like you just kind of have to do it. And I'm really glad that I did because I've learned so much in this past year that I think that I would have never gotten an experience like this like anywhere else.
We're very lucky that everyone in the office doesn't suck and they're
Yes,
actually great people
that is a big plus for
because
sure.
it definitely made that transition much, much
Yeah.
easier. And at least for me, I don't know. I'm going to be honest, this may be a hot take. I think transitioning to a work life is honestly easier than a school life because the way I see it, at least most of the time, you get to work, you finish it, and then you're done. You have days where you have to stay later. It happens to
Yeah.
everyone. But generally, when you go home, you can kind of leave a lot of the stuff behind. In school, when you go home, it felt like your day was just starting. It felt like
Yeah.
very like you have to do this assignment. Okay, I gotta get started on this, this, and this. And granted, obviously, we're in a very dynamic company, and I go home and I think of ideas. I still stress about assignments I have coming up, but it's nothing like school to where,
Yeah. It definitely felt like with school, it was like sort of it felt like there was always something I could do.
yeah,
There's always a
I
test
had
to
that a
study
lot.
for, homework, deadline to hit. But now, I mean, when that clock hits 5 o'clock, I mean, it's time to go, and I don't really got to go home and worry about any homework or anything like that. Of course, yeah, there is still that thought of, you're still thinking about it on the way home and stuff
Oh
like
yeah, for
that.
sure.
But, as the day goes on, get back in your routine, make some dinner. I'll be hitting the gym sometimes throughout the week. And that really helps to kind of, clear my mind and stuff like that.
Obviously, I'm not going to go too much into this, but I think it's an interesting topic to bring up, and feel free to say as much as you want or as little as you want. But the idea of kind of college finances and going from very, very minimal income to kind of work finances and kind of getting a little bit more of the income, and that general transition, how did you adapt to that? And obviously, say what you want, but kind of, having a lot more finances to manage, bills, just more income in general. Was that hard for you?
It was actually, honestly, a really good feeling. Like it was nice seeing some income come in that was much larger than what I was getting in college. Because when I was in college, the job that I did was DoorDash, so
Okay.
I was a delivery driver, which was pretty nice because it was really flexible. So if I had a test to study for, I could change my time up on when I actually go out. So it was really nice seeing those like come in, and I definitely like when I first started, I was like, oh, I got some money now, like I can spend it on stuff that I probably didn't need, you
I
know.
get that.
But I also do think I did still kind of err on the side of caution. So what I sort of started to do after I kind of got settled in my apartment and after a couple months of like paying rent and stuff like that, I was able to get an idea of how much I'm spending each month on just like any expenses like bills, groceries, anything like that. And
Luckily, we have an app for that.
exactly. So I was able to figure out, how much I could actually like have for myself as like fun money. And that's like sort of really helped to kind of just real like be able to not worry about, am I gonna have enough money after this month or whatever,
Yeah.
because I've already got it all budgeted out and figured out. So that's really helped to just kind of make sure that you know your expenses and know what you can spend on just whatever you want.
I generally did notice a big trend of like, I'm not gonna say stress, but a lot more caution with my money. Where in college I was very, oh, I don't care if I spend all my money.
Mm,
I noticed a lot when I kind of started my first job. It was very much, okay, I'm getting a lot more income. How can I start saving and kind of preparing for the future? Because you
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot more of that once I got out. And also, because, yeah, I think another thing for me in college was there was that sort of like, I'm only in college once, so I should spend this money. I should go out with my friends, all that. So it definitely like felt like I was spending a lot of money willy nilly. And so, yeah, I totally agree with that.
So another topic I wanted to go into was emergency planning. So I mean, I know car repairs are a big thing. I've had stories of families like their houses are flooding, power goes out, laundry machine doesn't work, who knows what it could be. Do you kind of build room in your budget to kind of plan for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I try to do is I try to make sure that I have saved up around 3 months worth of expenses.
That's
Ideally,
good.
I'd like to do like six, just in case something happens. But I think that the 3 months is a pretty attainable goal to have, just in case you lose your job. Like you said, things like that, your laundry breaks. So I think 3 months is a good number to have to be able to cover that.
Yeah, I generally do try and plan for it. I'd almost feel like it causes me more stress by doing it for sure.
Definitely.
But I feel like at the end of the day, I feel a lot more safer knowing about it than if I just ignored it and then, the worst happens, let's
Right.
say. And then, because I think I read some statistic, don't quote me on this, please. But it was like I think 70% of people, or even more, 80 to 90, don't have a budget. And, something ever happens, my car breaks down. I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah.
So, it can never hurt. And just feel like it's a good topic to talk about.
I think people should definitely have some sort of emergency budget. I think it's super beneficial.
Back in college, did you plan for an emergency at all?
I really didn't. I didn't think that I had enough money to really be prepared for that. Plus, I also had that safety net of my parents, being able to help me out and pay for my college and stuff like that. So it wasn't really something I had to worry about, which again, I'm super grateful for. And it's really awesome. But now that a lot of that responsibility is on me, I got to make sure that I won't get myself into that sort of trap.
Yeah. My back in college, it would say emergency expense was paying for my textbooks. I still don't understand how those are $200.
They're
But
really
we
overpriced.
brought up on this earlier, but I don't think in college many people care, right? You want to have fun, you
Yeah,
want to spend time with your friends. And I
definitely.
don't think that's a bad thing. I think a lot of people feel it's very one sided or the other, to where you have to either full plan and not have fun, or have fun and not plan. But I feel like it was okay to have some fun in college and spend some money on whatever you like, because you'd be miserable if you just spent your money on nothing at all. So I feel like finding that balance is really key. And I feel like, if you spent a lot of money in college, that's okay on stuff that maybe wasn't the best. What's
Absolutely.
important is you learn from that and you grow from that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you should have fun. You're around a bunch of other people that also want to have fun. And I think that it's a great place to, if you even if you fail, like you said, you learn stuff from it. And then when you get into the real world, you start to, kind of figure out
I was
what you
gonna
need to
say,
do.
like you said, you're playing now, right? So we both got there in the end.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, everyone's income is different. Some people have to be a lot more resourceful in
absolutely.
college, and I've been at those points where you're getting ramen, you have $10,
Yep,
and you're getting 5 packs of ramens, and you're living it up. But everyone's gonna be different. Everything's always changing. But as long as you're aware and kind of prepared for that, I think you're golden. Well, Brecken, thank you for coming on the podcast, teaching us some stuff about that journey to adulthood. I know I learned something. I hope the viewers did as well. Just thanks.
yeah. Thanks a lot for having me.
And that's it for this episode. Congrats, you survived episode 2. Good evening, good day. I don't know what it is. I don't care. See you guys next time.